There are a lot of issues with the government's and the country's economic policy-making process, but I think there is some good argument for reducing the number of fiscal events which create artificial cliff edges. But I also note the concerns, including from the IFS, that it looks more like a way to reduce scrutiny of the government's economic record. Fundamentally, if we are serious about the responsible management of the public finances, about tackling our high levels of debt, and about getting our economy growing again, then I am most interested in how we scrutinise our government's tax and spending plans. The current situation, where we have months and months of speculation and then approve hundreds of billions of pounds worth of government tax and spending with just a few hours of debate, with no one permitted to see what the Chancellor is proposing in the budget until it is being announced as a fait accompli in Parliament, is exceptional by international standards and a key source of uncertainty and instability. If the government truly wants to improve market confidence, then this is where they should be looking to make reforms. We could look at Sweden, for example, where following a budget crisis in the early 90s and soaring debt, they introduced proper parliamentary debate of the government's budget, where alternatives and amendments are made before it is finalised. It then gets a subsequent period of scrutiny and accountability. The fact that Sweden has seen years of strong growth, high living standards, and that its debt has now dropped from 80% of GDP to 30% is a positive endorsement of this approach. The reality is that incredibly important choices are made as a part of the budget process. These choices impact the day-to-day life of each of our constituents, whether in Witney or any of our constituents that you all represent, the members all represent. The people have a right to have the fullest possible picture as to how the government are going about setting their taxes, spending their money, and managing the economic picture, and this step will not achieve that alone. The government needs to foster stability and manage the public finances responsibly. That hinges on getting growth back into our economy and not penciling in unfair tax rises in a last-minute fashion at the end of the forecast period just to stick to the letter of the fiscal rules. However, until the government grasps that nettle on much more fundamental reform of our budget process, I don't think this will be achieved, and more critically, I don't think the dial will move on either economic growth or market confidence.